So much for the functional level, including the data side of solution requirements. Next, I'd like to talk about the one type of requirement that causes people the most heartburn, namely the non-functional dimension. In the earlier lecture on capturing non-functional solution requirements, I presented my definition of non-functional requirements, or NFR for short. In that lecture, I gave you examples of typical NFR categories like performance requirements and constraints. Let's see whether Jasper can help us discover non-functional requirements and especially whether it can ensure that these are expressed in measurable terms. By the way, if you want to follow along and try it out for yourself, I have included a link in the description below. It's super easy to use and you'll be up and running in no time. I'd love to see what you come up with, so leave a comment and let me know how it went. Whereas engineering the prompt for functional requirements was, relatively simple and straightforward, doing the same for NFR is much more challenging. That is because of the huge number of different types of NFR that exist and how many distinct aspects they each cover. So this section is going to illustrate how difficult it can be to engineer a powerful prompt that gets you what you're looking for. After several attempts, this is the engineered prompt that we decided to use. First, I'm going to explain some of my rules for what constitutes a good NFR. They're measurable and they can be tested by anyone. I also explained that subjectivity makes NFRs bad because they can't be objectively tested. Next, I'm going to explain the scope of NFR, some of which are relevant for the entire project, while others only apply to specific functions. And in each case, I'm going to offer examples to support Jasper's pattern recognition process's ability to give me the kind of answer that I want. To ensure that Jasper has the appropriate context, I'm also adding the vision statement in the content brief field up here. So now that Jasper has the context and background explanation, I'm going to use this prompt. Okay, that certainly gives me something to work with. Scalability is about the ability of the app to function properly in spite of variations in volume of transactions, users, or data volumes. I can certainly start with the first three suggestions. They deal specifically with increases in transaction volume, users, or data requests. Obviously, I will have to evaluate the numbers to see just how reasonable the suggested numbers are for my environment. But, that's just common business analysis work that I always do. I don't expect Jasper to know what my organization's rules are unless I give them to it up front in the form of a prompt. Now, the last three suggestions, they're legitimate NFR, but I don't really see them related to scalability. Nothing's wrong with that, by the way. I can always, just take note of them and chat with my managers and users as to how legitimate they are for us. Well, not bad for an initial attempt. I think we engineered a very reasonable and good prompt. But that just gives us fairly high-level generic NFRs. If we want to get specific detailed NFR, we can also ask Jasper to see what it can offer for a specific functional requirement. Here's the prompt that we're going to engineer for that. I'll start off the same, but now I'm requesting security NFR for the function specify dietary restrictions. Let's see how Jasper reacts to that. Let's see. All user dietary restrictions must be securely stored and encrypted in the server. That makes sense. That's certainly a security issue. All transmission of user data related to dietary restrictions should not exceed 5 KB in size. Not sure what that has to do with security. I would put that much more in a different category. The app should provide a secure authentication mechanism. I think that's a very good one. Access to user dietary restriction data should be restricted only to authorized personnel with valid credentials. Certainly a very good security one for that. Attempts at unauthorized access must be logged. Good one. And the app must have a robust intrusion detection system to detect malicious activity. I think 5 out of the 6 are really good security. I'm just not too sure about number 2 unless there's something that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. So all in all, I'd say Jasper did a great job in suggesting what types or categories of NFR I should consider. I obviously need to give it our organizational rules before it could express NFR in measurable quantities. And again, it's very important that you look at Jasper's output as suggestions for you as the one responsible for defining the product's requirements to consider. It's real perfect for AI storming. Those are, generating ideas for discussion, but definitely not for delivering the final output. For that, we still need the human component to ensure relevance, correctness, completeness, and really the quality of the NFRs.